Hi Graham, thanks for the footage. I forwarded you some comparisons via email for you to look at and digest prior to getting this video. Hopefully they made sense, and if not, this video will shed a little bit more light on it. First of all, if we look at it from down the line, I don't want to sort of state the obvious here too much. You're very aware that the club's too much underneath. You can see there, as you go back, the club tends to roll in behind you a little bit too much. This is largely due to the left wrist rotating a little bit too early in the takeaway, and really a good fix for that short term for you whilst you work on the other pieces that I'm going to suggest later in this video, is to feel like on the way back there is absolutely no rotation of the back of the left hand from P1, your address position, to P2, shaft parallel to the ground. There are a few recaps I've done recently that relate to this, and I've done a few videos that I think might be relevant to you. I'll follow the links to them a little bit later on in the day. So from P1 to P2, there's a little bit too much rolling of the left forearm. So accumulator number 3 loads too much too soon. This rolls the club in behind us at that point. On the way down, I'm going to come to the pieces that cause this a little bit later. You can see the club gets released a little bit too early. It's very much underplane at this point, and then from there you're just going to swing out, and you can see the arms continuing off the rib cage as you hit out of the ball too much and exit very high. We take a little look at why that's happening. If we look at you first of all from face on, I think the key aspect that you're going to get from stack and tilt is that you're trying to swing around a fixed upper axis. If we just watch you swing through here initially before we move on, you're going to see that the upper axis stays pretty stable going back, but moves a hell of a lot forward on the way through. So the upper axis isn't as stable as we would prescribe. A lot of movement forward. So a pretty good move on the way back. We just discussed the line of your backswing in the early part of this video, but for now we're going to look at it from face on now and look at a few issues that I'm seeing. Well, first of all, as I've said with the comparisons, for someone who loses it out to the right, you've got way too much weight on your left hand side. You want to be a little bit more like we see here with Charlie Wee on the bottom left, where we've got about 55% of the weight on the left. We don't want to feel that both knees are turned out a little bit more in sympathy with the foot location and address, so the knees out a little bit more in line with the toes. From there, what we're going to try and do from the top of your backswing, so I'm just going to play your back now. I'll run you through to P4. I appreciate this is a sort of maybe a shorter swing than you normally make. Hopefully a shorter swing than you normally make. You've got a relatively short club in your hand, so I'm not going to go too much into that. Position at the top. First difference we notice there is Charlie's leg, left knee, has worked out towards his target line, so it's maintained its position face on that it had at address. Yours is kinked in a little bit too much. I'm going to cut you a little bit of slack on that for now. If you want to work on that and try and solidify that position, then feel free to do so, but for now I'm more interested in what happens next. What we're going to see with Charlie is, and we mentioned in the comparisons, the pouncing cat position, where the left knee moves forward out in front of the left ankle by the time the player gets to P5 or P5.5 in that case. With yourself, what we're going to see is the upper body moving well forward and the knee doing very little at that point, so the left knee doesn't actually get out in front of you that much. For someone who worries about too much hip slide, this is what I find quite interesting. You can see there that because the lunge forward with the upper axis, the lower and upper axis haven't separated at that point. What we see here with Charlie is the lower axis has moved forward, the upper axis has been stabilised, and as a result is much more side bend coming into impact. The other effect this has is when Charlie moves that left knee forward whilst keeping his left shoulder down, the shaft loads more from P4 to P5. So you can see the angle of the shaft there now is at about 70 degrees. It was 90 degrees at P3. So the wrists are actually loading continuously up until P5. What we see with yourself is from the top, upper axis moves forward along with the lower axis, so it's just a sort of lunge to the left, and as a result the shaft is actually getting released very early. And whenever the shaft gets released early from the top, it will start to work under plane very quickly. And I speak from my own bitter experience there as somebody who made missing to the right an Olympic sport at one stage of his career. I know that that move is not very productive for getting around a golf course, so we definitely need to get that left knee moving forward at the start of your downswing, more like we see here with Charlie Wee. So you're going to think, sorry, wrong one, you're going to think left knee forward, keeping the left shoulder down. I don't want you to force the left shoulder down, I just want you to keep it down. It's already down, it's been tilted downwards in the backswing. So left knee moving forward is a key move for you. That's going to load the wrists a little bit more and give you that little bit more hip slide. So you don't actually have too much hip slide, you just get out in front of it too much with both centres. So when we get you at P6, we've got shoulders that are relatively level compared to what we're going to see with Charlie. He's cheated a little bit there, just move that line down. It's a little bit of shoulder tilt. Charlie moved that left knee forward, a little bit more hip slide, starting to move the hips forward now. More tilt in the shoulders, right shoulder lower. When your right shoulder's as high as it is from there now, you've got to expand the wrist just to make contact with the ball, and as a result you run the risk of hitting the ground behind the ball. Charlie can maintain the wedge coming into impact as this right shoulder gets a little bit lower, and you can see the hips have moved out in front of him a little bit more. With yourself from there now, right shoulder does lower, but it didn't lower early enough, and then we drift forward too much in the through swing. Need a more stable upper axis. So what I'm going to suggest you do, is going to play Charlie back to the top and apply you back to the top. Already give you something to think about in your takeaway when viewed from down the line, so we don't want any loading of the third accumulator. We don't want the left wrist to roll at all. No face rotation from P1 to P2. What I want you to do in practice is place a cane a couple of inches to the left of your head, as we see there, illustrated by the red line. Now the feeling we want is that we move into that cane and then stay stable, rather than moving into that cane and continuing to move forward throughout the downswing. So we need to feel from the top of the backswing, we want the cane there just to stop us drifting further forward as the downswing progresses, but we're going to feel that the left knee needs to move forward earlier. So think left knee forward. As the left knee moves forward, the shaft will load more, and as the shaft loads more, it will stay more on plane rather than getting under plane at this point. So think left knee forward, and in the takeaway think no rotation of the club face from P1 to P2. If you have any questions regarding this, or you want to bounce any ideas off me, feel free to contact me via email, or alternatively, if you ever want to give me a call, my mobile number is available via my website, or should I say the shop number is available via the website, or I'll email you my mobile number. Great looking at the swing. I'm sure it's going to progress. If there's any more questions, don't stand on ceremony. Good luck.